Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a tag and it will be the mid-year book freakout tag. I did this tag back in 2016. I think it was kind of when it first came about, and it's kind of cool that it's still around to this day because not a lot of tags last that long, you know? I remember really enjoying this tag when I did it 3 years ago, so I can't wait to get into this one. It's definitely a nice way to see where everybody's at, how they're liking their reading so far, things like that. Let's get into the questions. Question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2019. That one, hands down, will be The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I talk about this book nonstop in my previous videos so far, like my past 2 reading vlogs. I love this high fantasy novel. This is Jen Lyons' debut novel. She pushes the boundaries of what fantasy can be. Her writing style is definitely very unique, and the structure of the entire story is unique. I love the characters, I love the magic, I love the creatures. I just love everything about this book. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2019. That one will have to be Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. This is the 3rd book in the Witchlands, I think that's the series title. I remember just loving the 1st and 2nd book in that series. I read them back to back, and when I finally got this one, I couldn't wait to dive into it, and I was not disappointed. I love the fact that it follows Adwin. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is a blood witch. If you don't know what this series is about, it kind of reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender in the sense that many of the characters have abilities that revolve around elements. There's Wind Witch, there's Water Witch, and then Truth Witch, which is someone who's able to tell if you're lying or not. Just everything is just to die for, and I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I love this series. And then the 3rd one just did not disappoint. Question number 3 is a new release that you have yet to read. That one will have to be We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Fazal. This is another young adult fantasy. I kind of have a theme going on with the fantasy right now. Fantasy is my genre. This one I've heard so many great things about. I have yet to get to it though. So this one is definitely the answer for question number 3. It's a new release. I think it came out maybe 2 months ago or something like that. Haven't read it yet, but I'm excited too. Question number 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that will definitely have to be The Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. It is the sequel to The Ruin of Kings. I adore The Ruin of Kings, like I said. It was my favorite book of the year, so of course the sequel is my most anticipated. Yeah, I'm just really excited. I believe I read that this series is going to be like an 8-book long series, and usually I get a little intimidated by that, but I just love this first one so much that I can not get enough of this world, and I'm just dying to read more of it. So definitely The Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. It comes out October 29th, I believe. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment, and I have had a really good reading month so far, so I haven't really disliked a lot of books. I've had a few like 3 stars, I think maybe 1 2-star, but I did have one 1-star, and it was The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This book had been recommended to me many a times, and I'm kind of going through a rough patch in my life right now, so I decided to pick it up and see if I could gain any wisdom from it. However, I ended up like really hating this book. The guy just came off as really condescending, and he brought religion into it a lot, which I'm not religious. If you are, I'm not like attacking your religion in any means, but when you're talking about kind of life things, I feel like you should be more general instead of being like, God spoke to me and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't really like that, and as well as the fact that he just really came across as never taking responsibility for things and his words that he says, and he contradicts himself a lot. I just really hated this book. Question number 6 is your biggest surprise, and that one will have to be The Wicked King by Holly Black. I read The Cruel Prince last year, I believe, and I thought it was kind of like just okay. I thought it was way too hyped up. Like, I did not think it deserved the hype at all, and I was actually considering not even reading The Wicked King. I just thought it was just kind of a series. Of course, I ended up reading The Wicked King. I wanted to see what people were talking about. I wanted to give it a second chance, and I was pleasantly surprised. This one's by far better than the first book, and so it is the answer for question number 6, my biggest surprise. Question number 7 is a new favorite author, whether it be a debut author or just new to you in general. That one will be Jen Lyons, author of The Ruin of Kings. Don't really need to explain any more than that. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush. And that honor will have to go to Cal from Aurora Rising by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. He is just a character that reminds me so much of Rhysand and Rowan from Sarah J. Maas's works, and I just tend to swoon over those types of characters. He is very complex and has, I feel like, some secrets, but also just wants to fit in, and I fell in love with him. I really did. Question number 9 is newest favorite character, and that will have to be Harper from A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Harper is just such a strong character. She also has cerebral palsy, but that she doesn't let that get in her way. She's so strong-willed and so tough and so compassionate and such a great character. She's so well written. I can't wait to read the next book in this series. Duology, trilogy, I don't really know. I don't remember when it's coming out, although I do know that the arcs are out in the world, so I'm super excited to read it. I can't wait to read more about Harper. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. Now, I usually cry in books, like while reading them. Just the littlest things can get me going. However, I don't think I've cried yet so far this year while reading a book, except for maybe the 2 books that I've reread this year. So I don't really have an answer so far to like really fit the books that made you cry. However, I do have books that kind of made me emotional in the sense that it was sad but powerful at the same time. I have 2 answers to this question. I have Who Fears Death by Nyendi Okorafor, and I have She Would Be King by Weyetu Moore. I hope I pronounced that right. I had to look up a bunch of these names, and I'm really hoping that I pronounce them right. But both of these books are very, very powerful, very strong, but very emotional at times, and they both had me. This was actually the first book I read in this so far this year. I forget if I mentioned, but I've read 23 books so far this year. And this one definitely sticks out in my mind, as well as this one. They were just very powerful. This one was actually a debut for this author. I forget if it came out, I think it came out at the end of last year. But both are just such powerful stories. I would recommend both of them. This one is fantasy, this one is more historical fiction, but it has just a touch of fantasy in it, in the sense of like some magic in it. This one's definitely fantasy though, but I just really enjoyed both of these novels, and they definitely made me emotional. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy, and that is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is a book that I recently finished reading. It is such a cute romance. I love Stella. I love Michael. I just love the entire idea behind this book. Like, it's just so cute. Stella, if you don't know, is a woman who has autism, and she realizes that she's horrible at dating and she wants to get some more experience in that regard. So she hires a male escort, and it happens to be Michael, and clearly they fall in love, and it's super cute and super passionate, and I just loved it so much. And then the final question, question number 13, is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I've bought so many beautiful books. Like, publishers and artists are really killing it on the cover field, and I just have a few to show you. So I could show you Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Love it so much. I could show you We Hunt the Flame Again. Again, a gorgeous cover. I love the illustration of the main character. A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Just so many books. This one might be my favorite. Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok K. Banker. Just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Look at the colors. Look at the elephant. Just the sky. Just, it's so, so beautiful. I bought so many pretty books this year. So I realized I said that was the last question. That was actually question number 12. This is the last question, question number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of this year? I have a large TBR. Quite large. I love to just have books surrounding me. I don't mind having a huge TBR as long as I'm like excited to still read them. So there are just plenty of books that I want to read by the end of this year, so I'm just going to show you just a couple of them. Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Piercing. This is set in the same world as the Remnant Chronicles, which is definitely one of my favorite series, so definitely this one. I want to get to Frozen Tides by Morgan Rhodes. This is the 4th book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I really need to catch up. The series has ended. 6-book long series, and I still need to read book number 4, so definitely this one. Crown of Feathers. Oh, this is actually a beautiful cover. I could have showed you in the previous question, but yeah, the Crown of Feathers, I've heard great things about it. Definitely a fantasy novel, young adult fantasy novel, where I think characters can ride phoenixes. Don't know much about it, but I'm excited. Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. 2nd book in the what is the series called? I don't remember, but it's definitely the 2nd book. Haven't read it yet. Really excited to read it. Once Upon a Burning Throne. Gorgeous cover. Just excited to read a high fantasy novel. We Hunt the Flame, like I said, new release that I haven't gotten to, so this one I want to read by the end of this year as well. Descendant of the Crane. Just so many books. So many books. So there you have it, everyone. Those were all the questions for the mid-year book freakout tag. Let me know down below any of your answers to these questions. I would love to know. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff, and I will see you all next time. Bye!